I suppose Irish Wave really grew out of, my own fascination with China and my own practice. And I'd had some shows out here, and I just thought it was the most dynamic, most wonderful place to go and see a lot of contemporary art and many of the things that you wouldn't really see in the West. And I made connections with people very quickly here. So the idea of doing Irish Wave and being able to reconnect with Irish artists that I knew before, that I'd fallen out of touch with, and to get to meet more younger Irish artists seemed a very kind of exciting thing to do. And the sort of main idea of it really is a sort of cultural and artistic exchange. This is a platform where we can showcase our work as Irish artists with our Chinese peers, and everybody wins, everybody learns from it and gains great experience, and it's an exciting thing to do.
And it is wonderful to see this in an Irish context as another example of successful North-South cooperation in examining our overlapping histories, and doing so in a spirit of reconciliation, friendship, and mutual respect.
Well, the largest space that we showed in was at Ning Space in 798, and that was the Birth of a Nation exhibition. And that was a challenging hang because the space is great, but it's also got enormous sort of vertical space. So it was all about getting technicians in, putting up scaffolding, hanging really challenging works. And of course, having some extremely large-scale works from the Chinese participants, and often arriving at the last minute. It's a miracle that it did come together. I think it's quite a refined exhibition, and I think I'm really proud that we've done a good job on it. I would say Niamh Cunningham and Gail and myself, we've found it quite easy to work together in terms of our aesthetic and how we saw the space.
My work has kind of changed over the years. It kind of started off, it was quite kind of gestural and kind of expressionistic, and I think gradually over the years it's become more kind of structured and more kind of abstracted. I suppose it's just, the way I kind of work is that it kind of leads me, I kind of follow it. I kind of have, it's very kind of intuitive, the kind of practice that I kind of try and engage in. So it's not so much about me kind of dictating or trying to express something. Hopefully I kind of do, but in a more kind of subconscious, unconscious way, I kind of feel that the work, each series that I kind of work on, the next series kind of follows from that, but is kind of different, and hopefully, it's trying to do something new in the kind of practice that I've been kind of working in.
Well, I think from my own personal perspective, and as someone who's interested not just in modern history, but I suppose ancient history and archaeology, I would say that Ireland has had waves of people coming in throughout time, really, but Ireland itself as a country in terms of an established population is probably quite young. From the perspective of the Stone Age, and then you'd all these, through the Bronze Age, the Celts, if you can call them that, the Vikings. There's always been waves of incomers coming into the country. So I think to talk in terms of recent occupation, in my mind, I think you need to look at all the occupations, and I think that probably the same is true for China, which probably has a much longer history, civilization than our own. and various waves that, either swept across the country or swept down from the north. The reason why they built their wall, the reason why we had a border between the north and south of Ireland. It's all very interesting, and none of it is black and white. And I prefer to look maybe more into the grey areas because they're more interesting in terms of what you find out.
The emerging art space art centre exhibition, that had its challenges because it was the most last moment one. We had, as always, there are problems with spaces falling through for very good reasons. But we were not able to secure that space until maybe 9 or 10 days before we actually had to hang the exhibition there. And that of itself creates problems. So you're always doing labels at the last minute because, hey, you couldn't confirm anything up until the very last minute. So that had its stresses there.
Tied in with the commemoration of the 100th anniversary of the Easter Rising in Ireland, which is a little bit like the place occupied in China's history by the 4th of May movement, in that it was a national awakening and was the harbinger of national independence and the restoration of national sovereignty.
I feel it's really important to communicate to the outside world. In a sense, I think we're very insular in Ireland. Our insularity has been a blessing and also a curse. I think in a way, we're this lump of a rock just in the Atlantic. I think it drives us a bit crazy. I think it's important for us to reach out to other cultures. China is such a huge force nowadays in contemporary life. It's just economically, culturally, it's really exciting for any artist to sort of really get involved in that. I'm just hoping my work will communicate in the way I would like it to. And I'm really excited. Just the idea of just going to China as well and just really just delving into the Chinese culture.
My name is Niamh Cunningham. I'm an artist living in Beijing. I did this piece called When I Was 11, specifically for this exhibition, Birth of a Nation, Irish Wave 2016. This is a textile piece and it reflects childhood awareness of national identity and national sense of nationhood. And I explore some memories as a child, being very proud of learning about my Irish history and the United Irishmen and Robert Emmet was a hero of mine as a kid. And then on the other side, we have a more applied view of national pride. And this is when my English cousin comes to visit. I don't want her to see the writing on the bridge, which says Brits out, peace in. So I take her on a different route, and I wanted to express the complexities of being aware of nationalism and national pride, and how nothing is ever simple. I've also included different languages, a little bit of English, a little bit of Chinese, and then Dienta slats in a little bit of Irish, just to bring it all together.
And I would say down in Shanghai, that was the easiest of the exhibitions to sort of pull together. We had very little time, so we were very time poor actually for all of the installations. But a very, very helpful and kind of forward-thinking director of the gallery, who is very interested in our perspectives. And so we've hung sort of quite a funky little exhibition there. And there's been, you know, a very enthusiastic response to all of the shows, really. Well, I think it's been great that artists haven't sort of gone down the sort of literal road. They've presented really interesting interpretations of what their perception of the Irish Rising was and what its significance was and what it led to, both good and bad. So there's no sort of, nobody's beating drums and being sort of political in that narrow sense, which I think is great. And people have looked at the sort of, they've looked at both the wider picture and also at the very sort of personal picture of what happened to individuals and to families and to thinking as a result of that time. And it's something, you know, because we engage in it sort of with the theme in that way, there were Chinese artists who were able to relate to the theme and respond in different ways. We've had abstract responses, we've had narrative responses, we've had, you know, many different ways of looking at those themes, and they're shared themes, because what was happening in China in 1916 was also very dramatic and also very much centered around the sort of change of regime and an awareness of the significance of nationhood.